1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Hello, now we are interviewing the Mopai. It's incredibly well-known brand for the LP lovers, right?
Yes.
Because the Mopai is well-known for the cutting the lacquer.
Yes.
Yeah. Now they are launching the new speakers, right? And you're the head designer of the new speakers.
Yes.
Could you tell us about the speakers of Mopai?
Sure. The interesting thing about joining Mopai is I'm not joining an existing speaker company. So there is no tradition of what the speaker should look like, should sound like, or the technology. It's open book. That's very exciting. It's very worrying because which ideas should I use?
What should I do?
What should I do out of everything I could do? There are only very simple guidelines. Currently popular resurgence of big speakers like JBL, L100, KLH5, those kind of 1970s style big speakers. And so that means big bass drivers.
Yeah, of course.
It'd be fun to work with big bass drivers rather than small drivers all the time. And styling of the 70s, mid-century modern kind of styling. That was the only real guidance and a rough idea of price point.
Yeah.
But it was more important to have a statement than rigidly staying with one particular price point. If it has a capability that I come up with, but it costs a bit more, then okay, because that means we can have a better first impression of what we can do with Mopai. And so within those guidelines, once I started thinking of big woofers, what can I do with a big woofer? And I have always liked to do concentric drivers. And I was thinking, okay, so concentric driver and then a big woofer, but then the cost starts going up.
Of course.
And the crossover becomes complex. But I've always done three ways because with a concentric driver, it's important to keep the cone displacement low to avoid modulation. A three-way has no movement because no bass going into the concentric. But if I've got a big woofer, it doesn't need to move so far. So maybe I could do a two-way 10-inch concentric. I've never done one before. This would be exciting to try. But nothing exists. And the first problem is, can I make a 10-inch bass mid-range driver? Right?
Extremely difficult.
Yes. So I had to look around, first of all, to say, are there any examples of a bass mid-range driver of that size that works up smoothly to 3K? And I had to look really towards the pro audio world, much more common for pro audio. Although the quality requirement is different,
Of course.
maybe there's some examples. And I found one example that seemed to work. So I know it is possible. Doesn't mean I can do it. That's research. My motto is, if I knew what I was doing, it would not be research. So I thought, okay, let's have a go. So that, in my mind, I now had my concept of what I wanted to do for Mopai. Now I have to make it reality. But none of the parts exist. I have to tool every single part. I have to tool a new cone, tool the surround, tool all the motor assembly, because I've developed a very complex motor structure with dual neodymium magnets.
Dual neodymium.
But they're oppositely polarized.
Really?
So you cannot build the driver and then magnetize it. You got to magnetize and then build. Speaker factories do not like that. It's very difficult forcing them together and hoping the glue holds. but it gives certain advantages to the linearity of the motor structure. So I had to build all of that and then keep my fingers crossed that it would work. And I was very pleasantly surprised that the first sample worked almost perfectly. And so I was able to very quickly build a crossover and listen to it. And when I listened to it, there's something special here. And so that was the start, and that's what led to where we are now with the SourcePoint 10.
I'm really curious about the driver, the motor system.
Yeah.
How do they actually work in the speaker system?
One of the difficulties when you're doing a concentric driver is you have restricted space, particularly for the tweeter, because the tweeter is wholly inside the voice coil diameter. So the maximum diameter of the magnet is limited. And with neomagnets, your strength comes from area,
Yeah.
not thickness.
Yeah.
If you increase thickness, very inefficient way of getting more magnet strength. But I can't go too big because of the voice coil. The concept I had was if I can get the neo for the woofer to couple with the neo for the tweeter, they can both put flux through the woofer gap and both put flux through the tweeter gap. So now I have much more flux in the tweeter, 1.4 Teslas,
1.4.
very high, and exactly the right flux for the woofer. At the same time, because both of them contribute to the flux, the flux modulation from the coil is cancelled out. So I get improved linearity of the woofer motor. So it all works together, and difficult though, as I say, to put together.
Do you actually enjoy to work with MoFi as well?
Oh yeah, I knew the guys from MoFi for many years. In fact, one of the group companies, Music Direct,
Yeah.
they were the first customer for the ELAC speakers that I
ELAC
developed.
speakers, yeah.
And so I knew them from those days. And so when the idea came up of going to work for MoFi, yes, I like all the guys. We have great fun, good sense of humor, good kind of English type sarcasm.
English types like a dark humor.
Dark, yes, yes. Put the knife in and twist. So, thoroughly enjoy it, yes.
Anything you would like to say about for the Korean fans, the Korean MoFi fans?
I look forward to meeting everybody because I actually watch a lot of Korean fantasy films.
Korean fantasy films. What is it?
Hotel Del Luna and Alchemy of Souls. I've been binge watching all of those. So very enjoyable. But and I'd love to come visit and say hi to everybody.
Maybe next year?
Maybe next year, yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's all for the interview for Korean fans. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.